So Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That's great. I don't think I could possibly start out in any other way than asking you, what does the acquisition by Yahoo mean for you?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. I mean, for us, it was a validation of the space in general. I think most of the folks in this room know that digital video is growing tremendously, but Yahoo coming in and having an interest in us, I think is validation of the space. For BrightRoll, it really means extending and accelerating our mission. We're one of the largest advertising platforms out there for video in the industry today. And this acquisition really gives us the ability to extend in a couple of dimensions, one being data and the other being some of the O&O inventory that they have, integrating that onto the platform. So just kind of extending what we've already been doing, but doing it in a way that leverages some of the assets that Yahoo has. I mean, they've got, you know, what they talk about 1 billion uniques a month across their various platforms, web, and they've made a huge push into mobile as well. And they acquired not only Tumblr in the beginning of 2013, but they acquired Flurry in 2014 as well. So that gives them a huge leg up into the mobile space, and we've been pushing into mobile video as well, and we think that does, you know, this is another impetus to kind of double down there. So for us, it really accelerates our push, and for them, it gives them a true programmatic ad platform that they can really put their wood behind their arrow on. So we're pretty excited about that.
I want to touch on data and inventory, but my first question before I do that is, I mean, isn't it going to scare a lot of the publishers or even the buyers that you work with that all of a sudden now you're not independent anymore?
You know, I haven't seen that yet. And most of the buyers and publishers that we've been working with are pretty excited about it. On the buy, you know, the customers in the marketplace business, they're typically third-party DSPs that are bringing their own data and their own algorithm to the table and plugging in and buying our inventory. For them, this brings unique inventory to the table that they hadn't seen previously, which is pretty interesting for them. We're continuing to try to get unique inventory. I mean, that's the mantra of a lot of the trading desks and other folks is like, bring me unique inventory. And so we're doing a lot of efforts into going out and securing that kind of inventory that they can't get elsewhere. So that's a huge benefit for the buyers. And the sellers, they want fill and they want revenue and they want it in a way where they can actually control what's happening and who's buying it and so forth. And just the augmentation that we'll have and the continued investment we'll have on the supply side, I think is good for our publishers as well. And there's been a lot of consolidation in the space in general. You saw, you know, with Facebook buying LiveRail, with AOL buying Adapt, a lot of the folks on the sell side have gotten consolidated. And so now it's a matter of, okay, who's going to bring the best tools for publishers to the market? And we think that we're well positioned to do that.
Well, that was part of, I think, the impetus of my question is you're seeing a world where things are polarizing and going back towards big players in a lot of ways. Does that mean you're creating walled gardens that make it harder for people to transact at some point?
You know, I think that's one of the risks, but I think we don't, when we make the case to the publishers, we never say, hey, you know, be in our walled garden and this is, you know, the only place that you'll get filled. We don't want to like promise them anything or say that you're only going to be in this small silo. We say, come on to the BrightRoll now Yahoo platform, open your inventory in the ways that you want to, and we're available to every buyer on the planet. And, you know, as long as there's certain rules and regulations and so forth that the buyers will go through. And sometimes the publishers will say, well, I only want to make my inventory available to a select buyer at a select price, and that's fine. But for us, it doesn't really silo it per se because you're still available to everybody. And typically those big content providers, they have their own direct sales efforts. Those are the folks that get the first cut at it. And then they'll say, okay, whatever my direct sold doesn't sell, or if I've got spikes in inventory one day or another, then we are there and opening it up to our programmatic channels, and the buyers are using their algorithms to decision on it. So I don't see it. I mean, for us, it's open to all of the programmatic buyers in the universe, and so we don't really see it as you know, you can only get it you know, through, you know, it's only going to be a BrightRoll seller that can monetize that.
How does the data part fit in? So Yahoo obviously has a lot of first-party data. What changes for you now?
I mean, Yahoo has an incredible first-party registration data, and I think for us, you know, we've been really good over the years at helping advertisers really get a better ROI by hitting the age and gender cohort that they most want to hit. And you know, Nielsen OCR being one of the key currencies, Comscore VCE, and so forth. This, to us, just makes it our platform just much more effective because you've got this first-party data, and that's one of the key charters for 2015 is how do we integrate that data in a way that makes sense and complies with all of the privacy regulations and so forth. But it is, for us, it's just making that, that advertising campaign more effective using this new set of data that that was not available previously, at least for through the BrightRoll platform. And we've got our own, we've got an incredible data ingestion engine, and that's what we're bringing to the table, and we've been doing that over the last couple of years, and now we're adding this kind of another leg to the stool.
Data ingestion engine meaning like DMP or like CRM type
Not,
integrations?
kind of like what the what Tim from Videology said is we're not like a traditional DMP, but we onboard data all the time. Companies' first-party data. If an advertiser comes to us and they've got incredible CRM data, we'll onboard that onto the platform, and they'll decision against it for their own purposes. Or if they want to use third-party data like a BlueKai or an XLA and so forth, or a DLX data that's tied to in-store purchases, we ingest that data and help them decision on it in a better way. But we're not like a DMP. We don't compete with like a BlueKai.
Let's talk mobile for a second. You made a big deal about mobile last year, towards the end of last year, and some of the things you were doing there. How has it gone? And do you think the mobile industry, the mobile side, is growing from a business perspective?
Yeah, so mobile's been growing very quickly from an inventory perspective. Faster on the inventory side than it has been on the demand side. Like, mobile inventory for us is about a third of our overall inventory. If we're, say we're doing 50 billion or so impressions a month, that can be like 15 billion of those are mobile, right? So it's a big chunk of the inventory. The buy side hasn't necessarily, it's not a third of the buy side yet. And why is that? One of the reasons is the measurement and the validation wasn't there. You guys came out with your mobile OCR product last year. I think that's still getting up to speed. We're hopeful that the buyers will embrace that, and I think the validation of, hey, I hit this person in mobile and it was the person that I thought they were going to be, and it's the age and gender cohort and so forth is happening now. But that's, I think, one of the big impediments that happened in mobile. But we see that, with Yahoo's got an amazing sort of mobile app portfolio. Flurry is an acquisition they did, which really is an application analytics engine that almost all these app providers put in, and they also have kind of an exchange and an SSP that extends that. And so now we have a lot more assets and resources to go into mobile. The question is, can we get the buyers there? We work with a lot of direct brands that are spending tens of millions of dollars a year in digital video and even more in linear, but they've been hesitant to go into mobile video so far because of the same measurement methodologies they've had weren't there. And we're hopeful that we continue to evangelize it, that the measurement methodologies are catching up, and that this year it'll really grow in concert with the way that the the inventory is growing. In mobile, it's a lot of the impressions are gaming and type of thing. Like Zynga is one of our biggest publisher partners. They've been hugely successful in mobile. A typical brand buyer, they want video before video. When you start talking about video before gaming, there's a hesitancy there, but that's really where the users are. And so now we've got a ton of impressions coming. You're playing like Words with Friends or something, and you do your turn, and then you've got a video between the next turn. That's not intuitive to a lot of the brands that we talk about.
Should it be? Is it the same thing?
It's a lean-in experience. We have measurement on whether they watch the whole ad or not, if it's a 30-second or 15-second. I think you need to change it a little bit in mobile, maybe make it lean towards more of a 15-second experience rather than a 30-second experience. But I do think and maybe the pricing is a little bit different, but all of that should be factored into the price they're willing to pay rather than the binary, am I going to do it or not? And it should be part of the portfolio because that's where the users are going. And if you want to hit that, especially the younger demographic and so forth, if you want to hit that younger demographic, you're going to have to embrace it and figure out how to tie the methodologies that you've been using historically into this new medium where there is no cookie, right? And there is some of the things are just different. You're using application ID and other types of methodologies to target that aren't the traditional web methodologies.
So I'll ask you the same thing, Jay. You're the only. Probably the only guy the only company within this whole group, you're the only company that hasn't talked widely about television.
Right.
Is that in your future, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, we did a big announcement last year to make linear addressable available on the platform. We definitely think that's where the industry is going. Our biggest mantra is we want the buying process and the automation process to be one process throughout, whether it's digital or linear. And I think where the work that, I mean, the plumbing back into the digital publishers has already been built. Like, we know who the user is, we know how to plug into that, we know when to deliver that impression on a real-time basis. I think with the set-top boxes and video on demand and so forth, that back-end plumbing on a real-time basis, the thing that we really rely on to do dynamic ad insertion and so forth, hasn't necessarily been built out yet. And we want a buyer to come on and use our DSP and be able to buy linear and digital almost the same way. And so we think it's going to be a little bit longer term before that happens. But today, we have buyers come on and buy linear TV through us. It's just a little bit more of a manual effort. So it's not sequenced in as tight with the DSP today. And that's what we're really pushing for. It's kind of a long term. Let's make this one solution that encompasses all forms of entertainment.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being here.